I've been screwing the bearers onto the top of the leg frames, and I've got one more to do here. I just need to trim off the end of this tenon. It's just protruding ever so slightly. So I'm going to take that off. Make sure it's flush. I don't want anything to hold off the apron seating fully. I've got this drill, so all I did is screw 2-inch screws along here, 2 into the leg, and I glued it on the top of the leg frame, and I'm attaching a second one. One piece of plywood didn't feel enough, so I went ahead and did 2 pieces. And this really carries the bench top, but we actually use this to anchor the bench top to the main frames. Very heavy, this bench. All the different components are really quite heavy. So it's a lot heavier than the pine ones were. But I'm not sure whether that's of any consequence really. But it makes it a hardwood bench very much, and has the same weight. So that's that bit. Let me get rid of this. And what we're going to do is put these onto their side. Now then, that's a little bit iffy. It's because I've got that rounded tenon protruding. But, and that one's doing the same. So I've got some blocks here. I'm going to use the wedged pieces. No, I'm not. I'm going to use some plywood. Excuse me a minute. I need my wedges. Let me jet this up. Feels good. So this is going to go on here. And let me explain. This ledge here needs to be flush with the top of here on both of these pieces. So I'm going to focus on one piece for the moment. Nudge this to where it's in the recess. And flush this with that step, like that. And just work it around. So I know I'm square up to my shoulder. Just want to get this flush. And I've got from the underside of the apron, I have a distance that I don't know what it is, but I have worked out that if I drill a hole 3/4 of an inch above the apron, at the bottom of the rim of the apron, that will be a good position for me to put my bolt. So I'm going to put a bolt through there eventually, but just for now I'm going to put a screw centered in the leg. So 3.5 is 1 3/4. The same on this one. So I could actually measure that. 3/4 up. But temporarily, I'm just going to use screws because I don't want this permanent. Now I want to drill this when it's upright and when I've got the bench top glued to the apron, because I feel like that's better. I'm going to put one of the wedges in here so that it's wedging the leg tight against the stop on the outside. Same on this side. I'll make sure that that's flush with that ledge. Now I can stand this up and turn it over. Where's my hammer? That works. This is so exciting. I'm a little tired. I've been working on this and it's been quite a workout, some of it, but I'm so excited to have this together. A little bit more. Can't see what I'm doing. That's better. I'm not excusing anything. I have so enjoyed this, putting this together, because I know it's going to help a lot of people to develop their skills in handwork, or any kind of woodworking, really. I want that ledge to be exactly where it needs to be. This doesn't want to move now, it's got the wedge in. That's it. This is where my bolt's going. It's going in the same position when I drill for the bolts. I could have just put the bolts in, I suppose, but I feel better doing it this way. I can see you all going out and buying your sheets of plywood now. Am I ready for this? No, I'm not. There we go. Now we start feeling like this is coming together. Wedge is a little long on this one, so I'm going to tap it out. There. This one's gone the opposite, so I feel like I probably got the wrong wedges in there. I did mark them. Aha. Didn't mark these two though, did I? Let me mark this and cut it off. Great. It's all feeling good to me. A little bit more I need. That's it. And the next stage is to drop my bench top on in that position. So what I did is I planed up the underside to get it somewhere near level. It's got no twist in it. This one is going on here. And that's actually, so I've got a gap here, but not a gap that won't close up with the clamps. So we'll give that a whirl and see how it goes. I'm going to do a dry clamp here to see how close I am. And that closes up just fine, and it's not lifting off there. If this was slightly out of square, it would lift off that side. It's not doing anything like that. So it looks as though I'm ready to clamp and glue and clamp this piece. Yep, no issue. A little bit shy there and a little bit past on that side. So I'm ready to glue this now, which I think is going to be exciting for everybody. So I'm now ready to glue this, and this is what I've been waiting for probably all week. So I've got the screws where I put that last screwed piece in is going against this apron, so I don't see any screws in the main areas, that is. And I'm also going to glue the top edge of my seating area here, just like this, so it seats on there, and just the rest of the I'm not gluing the main body of this to the bearers. I don't need to do that. It's not necessarily necessary, and I do want to be able to take the bench apart to get it upstairs or into awkward places, which I've experienced very difficult sometimes when you've got a fully assembled bench going upstairs somewhere. So this will be this is it. This is wonderful. Very heavy bench, very nice if you want a heavy bench, which I don't mind either way. And flush there. There may be some minor discrepancies that you'll have to get later with a bench plane. But this is good, feels great. So I'll clamp all the way along here now. Just going to check underneath to make sure, yeah, I'm on the top of the rail. This is pressed down. And now it doesn't clamps, and I'm good to go here. Add as many clamps as you want, really. Just don't have any gaps along this edge. And I'm going to let this dry, leave it, give it some space before I do any more work on it. We're so close to finishing this now. Nice. It's clamping perfectly into that 90-degree corner there, and I just have some very minor planing to trim off, just a small amount. It's looking great. I love it. I think you'll enjoy this bench. I'm hoping you will. Leave this now to dry, and very close. Love it. Yeah. So I've got my two ends planed up here. I aligned the apron with the bench top, took some shavings, took it down, made sure it was good and straight and square. That's the most important thing. But what happened here was when I put this piece of straight edge across here, I've got a difference between this side and this side. Does this mean that my bench top is out of square? Not necessarily. It means that the two frames are out of square. So this point to this point is longer than that point to that point. So what I have to do is take a long clamp like this across here, and instead of going square, I thrust this against that corner and this corner to create an angle. And I'm using the clamp to take up the discrepancy here. Then I come to here. I've just halved that distance that we were out. A little bit more. Hopefully that's pretty close. That is so close. There it is. So I will be the same on this end. Before, if I'd gone the other way, I have a little gap here, just a hair, not enough for me to worry about. I could clamp it a little bit more and even out that distance so that it's dead square. That would be perfect. So the next thing I want to do is put clamps across this upper area. The bottom is still screwed together, the aprons are still screwed together, just to make sure there are no gaps behind the apron, between the apron and the leg frame. Same on the other end. This just makes me feel more secure. So this cross bracing and the clamps should help hold everything together. And the reason I want it held together is because we're going to rely on screws that go through the bearer into the underside of the bench top and into the wellboard. We're going to rely on that for us to keep everything square for the eternity of the bench. So let me swivel this. I'm going to stand the bench on end so I can get access to it. If you're on your own, think safety. I've done this many times, but it doesn't mean things can't go wrong. Put my foot down at the bottom and let the bench rest there. Now I'm ready to drill my holes, ready for the screws. So I want to put a screw through here, a screw through here, and then the same on the opposite side, just for security. It'll give it that extra strength. I'm staying away from this outside edge here. I'm coming in at least one, maybe two sections of plywood. So I'm going into the third piece of plywood, and I'm starting at the outer edge of the reveal here. And now I'm angling my drill, just going through those first two sections of plywood. And then I'm coming in from this leg about 2 inches because I've got the bolt through the apron. So I'm happy that 2 screws on this side will work. So I'm angling this because it'll work better for me. I've got to put 2 into the wellboard as well. So I'm going to drill about 2 inches from the edge of where the wellboard will go. Exactly the same. I may well go all the way through this into the opposite side. I'm probably going into the aluminium of the clamp here, so I'm stopping just shy. I'm going to countersink them, but not a lot. I'm using specific sized screws here. These 2 are 2-inch screws, and these here are 2.5-inch screws. That's the countersink done. Now I'm going to go on the underside. I wonder if I can go up a little bit more. So I've got exactly the same to do on the inside of here. I'm going to go in the middle on the wellboard one, so I'm only putting 1 screw under here, and you'll see this. in a minute down here. If I go down here, this would be the inside. So I'm putting one screw here. Here I can go anywhere I like. Into that third piece of plywood again. And I'll have to do the underside when I stand it on end from the other side. That one I came a little close to the outside edge there, but because it's angled it's fine. So I'm going to drive the screws next. And this will keep it square. This is the wonderful thing about this that we're doing. Oh, I didn't countersink those. Wake up pull. Nice. So this replaces what the clamp is doing now. That's wonderful. Now, these top two. That is what we need to do to keep the bench nice and square. So I can take these off now. And the bench will stay square. There won't be any issue with it. The apron board will add even more to it. I guess you want to see how well we did here. So I'm a 64th off, so I'm perfectly happy with that. This side actually is perfect, so that's as near as I can get to perfection for my bench. I am ready to put the strips underneath here. On this side of the bench, because it's double skinned and one is stepped down, that allows for the wellboard to rest on it. On this side here, I don't have that. So what I've got to do is take a strip like this. I've got this one already cut to length, and I'm going to screw this on the underside of the bench top like this. I'm going to cut this one in here. This is going to actually be near to the length of this, but about ½ an inch shorter, because I'm going to actually cut this at an angle so that I can't see a square end on the plywood bearer or batten, because I don't want to see it from the end. It wouldn't look nice. So that's where I'm going with this. What I want to do is run a line dead center down the middle of here, like this. It actually doesn't need to be dead center, but it gives you something to shoot for. That's going to be my guideline to work to when I screw this to the underside of the bench like that. So it's just roughly where it's going to go. So I want to drill holes in here, one in the middle maybe, one near this end, and then split the difference in here. This will stop the wellboard from sagging when I come to work placing the heavy tools in there, things like that. So that's what that one's going to do. This one here, just find the middle. Just this is how I would find the middle, like this. So roughly, I keep moving it till I'm close within there. So there's my middle. Make a line. And then if you go about 1 inch on each side, like this, so I've got that marked, straight edge across there, and that's just going to give me something to cut to when I cut this on the bandsaw. So I'm going to cut through this. That means this piece will go under this end and this will go on the other end. So from the points of those two, I'm going 8.5 inches here, and the point of this one, 8.5. And those are my cut lines. So I'm going to cross cut these while I'm working on the bandsaw so I can get everything done at the same time. So that's my next step, is to cut these, cross cut these and get the angles on them, drill the holes. I can drill the holes now. I'm going to cut this first because I won't know where I'm drilling the holes. So let me go ahead and do that first. This is mostly a question of eyeballing that angle. Put my mask on. Those two pieces cut. So this now goes here. So when I look from the end, I won't see the end of the plywood. So again, a center line down here, just like that. And just like, oops, not very good, that was it. So that's going on that end. So I'm going to drill my holes into a scrap of wood. So if this one's going here, I'm going to drill through here. I'm going to get my angle. Which way am I going? So I'm drilling from the other side. I want to drill in towards this main body of wood. So just to give you an idea, what I want to do is angle my drill this way so that when I drill in, I'm going into the bench itself. So like that. Same on this one. So this one is going to be angled this way, right? I'm talking to myself now, everybody. Am I going the right way? I am. Countersink just a little bit. Although these are relatively small screws, they would probably just countersink themselves just fine. This one. We're almost done with using screws now. Not much more to do. Make sure you get the right size screws for this because you do not want to be coming through. Oh no, you can't on this one. You can't come through because you've got 2 3/8 of an inch, so there's no problem. I'm just waffling here. My glue. It's when you come to your wellboard that you have to be guarded about coming through. This is white PVA. This is a wood adhesive. In America, you can get yellow wood glue, which is intended for wood, and you can get white wood glue, which is intended for fibres. So one is flexible, one is rigid. That's the difference. In Britain, we haven't learned that yet. So we have them all the same colour, so we don't really know which one we're getting a lot of the time. I'm going to put this in here on my line. Uh-oh. Already grabbing that glue. So now I can drive my screws under here. This is where I hope I did angle the screws the right way, because if I didn't, they could come through the face. No good. Great. Two more in this. And that's that one in place. I know you're going to enjoy making this bench. I know you will. Uh-oh. I'm working blind here. That's that one. One more. It'll be the glue down here. No need to spread it. It'll spread itself under the pressure of the screws there. No problem. And actually, this is really a very nice looking bench too. I've got my finger in between the shoe of the clamp then. So what happens when you get past 69? There you go. And I am happy with that little phase. Spot on that, spot on. Great. So we're going to rip the wellboard, we're going to mark it, fit it, and rip it. Drop it in. We've got a couple of small things to do then.